My father was the kind of man to find a woman, build a family, and leave within a span of 10 years. My mom was his longest relationship, but it was mostly because she waited to have children. I know of 3 wives. I heard a rumor there's more, but most I can confirm as mistresses. In total, I have 9 half-brothers and 2 half-sisters that I know of. This also spans 5 countries, with them being Argentina, Brazil, Haiti, Panama, and Colombia. Now, some examples of Dear Papa's entitlements are: he married my mom when she was 21 and he was 37. He didn't let her finish school because it was better if she only focused on the house and children. Mom had to secretly take the pill since she didn't feel ready for a baby. They had me 7 years later, when mom was 28. My mom had PPD and PPA, and rather than stay, bio-donor left with a mistress he had impregnated a year earlier with my half-sister. He returned only after I was about 3 years old. I want to point out that my sister's mom had no idea my mom or I existed. Bio-donor stayed with them until I was 12. Then he left my mom for a woman that was 18 on the dot. She's the mother of my baby half-brother. After my parents' divorce, my bio-donor left my mom with $38,000 in debt. That's the cost of a 6-bedroom house in my home country to this date. Mom had to sell the house we live in, which only covered a part. She took a job in another country, and my eldest half-brother became my legal guardian. It took my mom 2 years before she came back and made her company, paid the debt, and I was able to move back with her. By this point, my mom knew 4 of my father's mistresses. My mom's company turned out to be very profitable, and suddenly Pops decided to claim spousal support. He had only paid $50 of child support in 4 years. I was 16 by then. He also called my sister and I to demand that we drop from school so we could work and send him the money for his baby son. Or, and I can still quote to this day, "You go to a fancy school, get pregnant with a rich boy's baby, and he will maintain all of us." When I was 18, I didn't immediately go to college. My mom needed help in the company, so I decided to postpone for a year. I started working for her and took another job in a museum as a translator. I was not making that much money, about $5 an hour. My sperm donor sent me a bill for a grand total of $230K for life expenses. My mom remarried when I was 20. My stepdad is amazing, and he is the father I never had. Stepdad is American and suggested for all of us to move together to the States. My mom left her company to my uncle. He still manages it. Stepdad sold his old apartment, and they kept my mom's house to be rented to relatives. Sperm donor contacted my mom after 2 years of radio silence to demand money from my stepdad's apartment sale. He said he would sue, and while he didn't have a leg to stand on, stepdad gave him $20K to shut him up. He then told my mom he wanted my college fund for his youngest son because I was female and there was no point in me going to college. Mom told him off. I lost contact with him. He tried to reconnect multiple times, but I never gave it a chance. He died in 2020 from presumed S. Don't know the details, and to be sincere, never really cared. This morning I got an email from a man in my home country demanding I pay him some debt my bio-father had to him. He told me that my bio-dad had said I would pay all his debts if he was to die, that he had a signature for me on a contract in 2018. I laughed and told him I've been in the US for 7 years and have not been to my home country since I left. I asked for the name in the contract. It was a very close approximation to my name, but not correct. Even the ID number he was given, our social security number comparative, was wrong by a few digits. I didn't give him my ID, just told him he had the wrong information. He was fuming and asked me how he was going to get his money. I told him he can try a Ouija board. Just to be safe, I called my uncle so he could have a lawyer ready in case of an emergency. This is, well, just a handful of examples of my late biological father. May he rest knowing all his children, ex-wives, and ex-mistresses didn't even care to go to his funeral. Wait, he married your mom when he was 37. You came 7 years later, so he was 44. He left when you were 12, so he was 56. And he got with an 18-year-old? Holy ducking yikes. I can't blame you for forgoing that funeral. I also feel sympathy for the guy who said you owed him money. He won't be getting that back, I imagine. To start, I'm a newlywed to my wonderful husband who takes care of his grandmother. He's a total gem. His uncles and his mom are wonderful. His aunt is a completely greedy woman, though, who believes everyone is out to serve her or help her monster kids succeed in life. Let me give you a bit of backstory. This woman, who I shall refer to as S, has so much wrong with her mentally, it's hard to begin on one thing. She makes her money from divorcing people and thinks menial labor is beneath her. Real labor, real work is not for her, and she scoffs at people with retail jobs. She also calls herself a strong-willed feminist who believes in the word of God. Okay then. She's rich, has 3 extra houses she keeps from divorces and leases, and the saga continues with how much more she wants. Let me elaborate. Well, when her mother, my husband's grandma, decided to give an idea who gets what in her will, S immediately starts in, holier-than-thou tone, announcing, well, obviously I get the house, I deserve it, and refuses to drop it, until Grandma downright told her to shut the hell up. My husband actually is the one inheriting the house, which drove her insane. My husband has taken care of his grandmother daily for like 19 years. She's 88, almost 89. Ever since my husband was a child, S apparently despised him, and has held this grudge to his adult life. Like, why on earth would a grown woman hold a grudge at a 4-year-old and keep hating him until his adult life? Neurotic woman. Every time he speaks calmly to her, she claims he's being so mean when he barely criticizes her. Also, just a note, S has been asking for fat checks from her mother for years while doing nothing for her in return. Still not too bad, right? It gets so much worse. So on top of looking down on people who actually have a job and being greedy with her aging mother, she's also an entitled mother. She has 3 kids. Let me give you an idea of what they're like. One of them, the oldest and the only girl, despises her mother and brother and has branched off. That's great, actually, and takes after her father. The oldest boy, he's a Patreon surviving fan writer. Let that sink in. Is incredibly whiny, entitled, and thinks he's gifted beyond compare in all things. When really, he's just a starving artist who can't get anything off the ground. He refuses to accept anything less than the magnificence he thinks he deserves. No hard work from him. Nope. And then we have the youngest. Quite the saga with him. The youngest is in fact only 5, severely autistic, and please remember, S is in her late 60s. It was a surrogate and her demanding another child in her mid-50s that this boy exists. The issue with the youngest is the fact S believes all people love him and his presence. He behaves horribly, but I truthfully don't hate him, just his creator. His behavior is deplorable though. He screams constantly, runs in circles, throws food and plates, punches other kids, and is a general disaster to be around, but can in fact be calmed at times with some help. And yet S is the type to say he's smarter than any of us as children. He's so gifted, so much more than any of you, and will legitimately, during family events such as birthdays, give a person a framed picture of the little monster, despite not having any real affection for him. She got us a pillow with his face on it. Great, we can sit on it, put our butts on his big face. Awesome. We invited said half of the family over for Christmas of 2019, purely because Grandma said she wanted the family to be civil and together for one day. This went horribly. The oldest boy demanded he not come because my husband would probably be a jerk to him and make him more depressed, when in reality, my husband is nothing but gentle and kind to this sad excuse for a man. Then, S brought the little boy over, and he proceeds to do horrible things to Grandma's cats, smacking them around, yelling, "Kitty, Kitty Fuzzy," and breaking ornaments by throwing them on the wall or ripping pieces off. Then, he did the worst thing of all. Grandma's husband passed away a long time ago, but she kept his armchair, which has some holes in it, tears at some edges. She still uses it every day. This toddling nightmare proceeds to rip an entire section of the chair off with a huge grin and made Grandma cry. Her daughter's response? "Oh, stop, Mom. You know he just worries at things like that. Holes make him upset. You should have known." And she didn't scold her child at all. Brat was laughing. To top it off, the entire day she was snarling at me and my husband being happy in general. She hated the food we made her and her child. She hated the cookies, hated our layout for the kitchen, said the milk was sour when it wasn't. But the chair was the tipping point. So when she finally left, husband's uncle, me, Grandma, and husband agreed she wouldn't be coming back. So fast forward a bit to January 9th. Grandma went to a restaurant with her son, and lo and behold, S shows up with her littlest and oldest son. She sits down, orders food for herself, and bats her eyelashes at her mother saying, "I want my oldest boy's gift, his Christmas gift. Give it here, Mom." Keep in mind, this guy didn't bother showing up for Christmas. Grandma set one aside for him though, a very special one he had been wanting. Grandma specifically said he needed to come over to get it though, and open it in her house with me and my husband since we put thought into it also. She gets all huffy, saying she needed to kick us out then, so her and her precious talented first baby boy could come open it in peace. Like we were some sort of monsters that needed to be exterminated. Firstborn says, "Well, they're jerks who will make me uncomfortable, make me feel bad for being me," when asked about it. Grandma then says he can come on his own if he'd like, and S goes berserk. And the oldest boy says he's not going anywhere without his mother, his mommy he loves. I kid you not. This boy is 30. So fast forward more to a week ago. Despite telling her no, he needs to come over, same situation happens. She appears at dinner at a restaurant and proceeds to say in the most snarky voice, "Well, Mom, where's my baby boy's gift? Did you bring it?" She orders food for her kids and sits down. She says, "No, I told you what I wanted." Woman proceeds to start sobbing hysterically, grabs her kids and leaves, leaving the bill for her brother and mother. Make sure the grandma's will is rock solid. Talk to a lawyer. Make sure there is nothing she could dispute in court. I think she is legally entitled to some part of the inheritance, so just give her the bare minimum, although morally she probably owes you money. She sounds like a total B. There should be a clause that states that she has already had the money she would have been left through countless checks over the years. My sister is 5 months pregnant. She has dealt with fertility issues for most of her life, and now, thanks to IVF, her baby is on the way. During Christmas, the entire family went to our grandma's house to celebrate together. My sister brought this pretty box and put it at the center table in the living room. She didn't explain what it was for, but I saw some people putting money in it. I figured out it was a donation box, but our family is pretty big and everyone was trying to make the most of being together, so I ended up forgetting about it. Jump to yesterday. I get a text from my sister saying she was disappointed that I didn't donate to the baby's fund. When I asked what she meant, she talked about the box. I told her I didn't know what it was and apologized for it. Everything was okay until today. I got another text from her saying that she hadn't seen any money from me in her account. Once again, I was pretty confused about what she was talking about, and she said it was about the baby fund. Since I hadn't donated during Christmas, I was supposed to Cash App her the amount. I told her she was being pretty demanding about this and asked what even was the reason behind the fund. She said that her finances had taken a hit from the IVF treatment, and now she needed help to set up the baby's room. Hence, the baby fund, which was her idea to get some money to remodel the extra room at her place. Money that would come from our family, her husband's family, and their friends. Now, there's just something in it that rubbed me the wrong way. First, ever since she announced the pregnancy, she has been getting gifts for the baby from everyone, me included. I'm talking about clothes, toys, blankets, decoration stuff. The list goes on. The amount of gifts doubled once we learned the baby. Secondly, when I tried to figure out what she needs for the baby's room, she just kept talking about remodeling and refused to give any specifics about it. Sure, she can do whatever she wants for the room, but I think that it's necessary information even to figure out what amount I would even give. Finally, her whole attitude has just been extremely rude. I also think she's being entitled about the whole thing. I'm pretty sure there are other family members that didn't even get close to the box, so I'm wondering if she's doing the same thing to them as she's doing to me, which makes me even more miffed. So, would I be an a-hole if I didn't donate to the fund? Am I even an a-hole for considering not donating? I plan on giving gifts, but I don't really like the idea of this baby fund. Edit. I will be sticking to my guns and not donating. I will keep giving gifts though, but only stuff that can be used on the baby. Someone suggested diapers, so I might go with that for a while. I think I'll also call our parents to see if they know anything about this, and also so I can give an explanation just in case. Not the a-hole. This is incredibly weird and entitled. If she needs money, ask your parents for a loan. Passing the hat as if she's a college student throwing a kegger is bizarre. She chose this route, knowing the expense going in. Not to mention, I can't stand this culture of having over-the-top expensively decorated nurseries. Spoiler alert, the babies don't even sleep in the nursery for the first few months, nor do they care what it looks like. Not the a-hole. I understand her wanting a baby and going through IVF, but how isn't she prepared to financially support this baby? Why does she want a baby when she doesn't have the money for it and is now begging or demanding those around her for money?